we'll see about health and diseases. So we have to see some of the terms, that is abuse. Abuse means this is also an easy chapter, little bit a general chapter. Yes. So abuse refers to the cruel, violent, harmful or injurious treatment by a particular person to another person, which could be a physical means or emotional means or psychological means or verbal way. Yes, child and sexual abuses also come under this. Do you get it? Okay. Now, what is child abuse? Child abuse means physical or emotional ill treatment to a child, meted to a child, or it also includes the sexual abuse and exploitation. Yes. Now, physical abuses. What are the different physical abuses? Threatening a child, beating a child, kicking and hitting, all these comes under physical abuse. Sexual abuse refers to the dominance of one person over the other. Then verbal remarks, gestures, comments also are abuses. Okay. Child sexual abuse. Because of this, the children, why is this happening? Because children are supposed to be the most vulnerable persons well known, and who normally indulge in this. They are the persons who are well known to the child, and the people who abuse a child are known as abusers. Now, what are the symptoms of these abuses? Find there is genital injury, abdominal pain, frequent urinary infection and behavioral problems. Okay. How can we protect an abused child? There are child helpline, counseling the child, family support, medical care, legal counsel, rehabilitation and community efforts. These are the various ways by which we can protect an abused child. For example, child helpline. Child helpline. This actually has what happens is there is a social worker who could support the child, or who could help the child by providing food, shelter and protection. That is child helpline. Counseling the child, that is, we could have psychologists or even the parents or even social workers who can guide and support, emotionally support the abused child or the victim. Then family support. The child who is being victimized is well supported by the parents. Yes, by taking proper care and again counseling them so that the child could come out of that mental agony. Then medical care. The victim child is supposed to receive medical attention, and the treatment for the same has to be carried out if there is any injury. Then coming to legal counsels, that is the family members or the guardian of the abused child. They can get free assistance of a legal counsel. Yes, or rather they could go in for a legally to solve out the problems. Yes. Then next is rehabilitation. Rehabilitation means what is done is the victimized child has to be brought out of this, and they are being put into the normal lifestyle. So sending the child back to school and putting that child back into the educational system or into any other life activity. That is what is rehabilitation. Then community based efforts. Community based effort refers to the campaign on the child abuse and then its prevention. So there could be a campaign that is done to prevent this child abuse. So these are the different ways by which the victimized child can be protected. Now, how can we prevent the child sexual abuse? That is, the child is to be well taught and is to be rather to tell, it's a sort of a counseling given to the child to tell not to talk to any of the suspected persons or suggest strangers, and to maintain a distance between them, not to be alone with an unknown person, then to be careful while they are traveling alone, especially in public or in a private transport, then never to receive any sort of compensations or gifts, yes, like money, toys, gifts, chocolates from any of the known or the unknown person without the knowledge of the parents. And the child is to be well educated about the what to tell, the sense of touch. Yes, the child has to know that is the difference between the touch, that is normal patting, and somebody holding a child in a different way. So that sort of an education is to be given to the child. Now these are the ways by which we can prevent a child sexual abuse. Next comes under the abuse, not only this, we do have the drug abuse. Drug abuse means a person who is habituated to drug continuously, at the same time they have to take the drug, and their drug abusers are also known as drug addicts. Now the types of drugs they take are normally psychotropic drugs, or also known as the mood altering drugs. So such people, they take the drugs and they get into a state which is totally different from a normal lifestyle, that is that affects their behavior, the consciousness, their thinking, their perception, all that is affected by this psychotropic drugs. Then the drug dependence, that is normally the person who are addicted to the drugs, they on a course of time, what happens, they cannot survive without the drug, or rather they become totally dependent on the drugs. Yes, so this state of a person is what is known as the drug dependence. Now that could be a physical and a mental dependence, that is for the normal functioning of that particular individual, and to maintain the normal psychological state they have to go in to take the drug. Then we call that as physical and mental dependence. The other one is the psychological dependence. That is, this is a state when an individual, when they feel stressed, they go in to take for a drug and they feel that they are relieved. That is called as psychological dependence. Okay. Now, what are the behavioral changes that we see in a drug user or a drug addict? If it is children, we find them out of the school. That is, they dropouts. They will be normally dropouts of the schools. They absent themselves from the schools or colleges. Then lack of interest in personal hygiene, isolation, depression, fatigue, aggressive behavior. Then weak relationship with the families and friends, change in food and sleeping habits, fluctuation in the body weight and the appetite. Then they try to get money in some means. They can go in even for stealing. Yes, then they are prone to infection. These are some of the behavioral changes found in the drug addicts. Okay. Now, drug de-addiction. Once the elderly people know that the particular individual is drug addict, how can we bring them out of the drug addiction? That is what is called as drug de-addiction. Now, this is done with by varying means. That is, one is detoxification. So detoxification means from the term itself we understand detoxification, that is freeing them from the toxification. Toxification, taking the drug which is toxic for the body continuously. So we are trying to stop the person from taking the drug, and this is done slowly. All of a sudden we cannot stop them, detoxify them, because they become very aggressive. So slowly or gradually, little by little, they are kept away from the drug, and on a long run they will be able to overcome the withdrawal symptoms. Do you get it? So normally a person who is very much addicted, when they don't get, they become more aggressive. So slowly they have to be removed from that, yes, and they come out of it. Now, because of this sort of a detoxification, what happens is, because we are slowly reducing the intake of the drug, the particular person, they undergo a lot of physical and mental stress, or rather a disturbance. Now, this sort of a disturbance has to be taken care by certain other medications. Then next is psychotherapy. Here what happens, it could be the psychologist, or it could be counselors, or it could be family members or friends, whoever it be. Yes, the psychotherapy and counseling to the psychotherapy and counseling by the family members. Yes, the frequent frequently talking with them, trying to engage them, the victim, from, or rather into some other work, trying to engage them into some other work. We keep telling them, we keep talking to them, and then we try to bring their addiction down. That is what is psychotherapy. Then next is counseling to the family members. So this is very important, because once they understand that the person is a drug abuser, what happens is sometimes the family members tries to ignore them. Now the ignorance can lead them more into this addiction. So the family members are the ones who are to be first counseled to see that they don't show an attitude of rejection or putting the victim alone. Yes, so that is what is called as counseling to the family members. Then rehabilitation. This is giving them again a counseling on how to lead a healthy life, and asking them to engage into their normal activities, working, or whatever they are doing, into certain hobbies and all that, so that they they slowly come out of their drug intake mood. Do you get it? Okay. Next we have tobacco abuse. Tobacco abuse again is the addiction to tobacco. Now this tobacco contains an alkaloid known as nicotine, which is highly poisonous or toxic to the human health. So there are people who get addicted to the tobacco. So what makes them addicted to it? It is this nicotinide which is present in that, which gives them a sort of a pleasure. You get it? So they become addicted. Now tobacco, how can the intake of tobacco could be either by smoking, or it could be chewing, or even snuffing. Now what are the effects of tobacco smoking? Because these contain benzopyrene and polycyclic hydrocarbons, they are supposed to be carcinogenic, or rather they can cause cancer. Then bronchitis and pulmonary tuberculosis, because it affects the entire pulmonary system. Emphysema, where they have a problem with the breathing. Is carbon monoxide, which is the hypoxia. Then they have increased blood pressure, because of which it can lead to a risk for heart diseases. Then increased gastritic and increased gastric pressure secretion, because of which there could be gastric and duodenal ulcers. Then oral ulcers can also be caused. Now, prevention of smoking is by counseling and giving them medical assistance. Next comes the alcohol abuse. Alcohol abuse refers to the alcohol dependence. It is also called as alcoholism and or alcohol abuse. So they have to take alcohol. That is the prime motive. The harmful effects of alcohol to the health, if you see, it is the nerve cell damage and various mental and physical, and leading to various mental and physical disturbances, lack of coordination of the body organs, blurred or reduced vision, results in road accident because it's a nerve, so it affects the every part, even the vision is affected. Now, dilations of the blood vessels which can affect the functioning of the heart. Liver damage leading to fatty liver, and that can lead to cirrhosis and formation of fibrous tissues. The body loses its control and consciousness, leading to health complications and ultimately death. Now, what are the rehabilitation measures that are taken? They include education and counseling so as to enable the victim to overcome stress. Then physical and engaging the victim in varying physical activities like reading, music, sports, yoga, meditation. Seeking help from the parents and the peer groups. So that they will be, that is, a close relationship has to be maintained so that the victim can share their feelings of anxiety or anything that is done or a negative attitude or something what they do wrong can be shared with them so that they get rid of that habit. Medical assistance, especially psychologists and psychiatrists, which helps these victims to lead a relaxed and a peaceful life. Now, de-addictions and rehabilitation programs are also present so as to help the victim to overcome this problem completely. Okay, that's about abuse. Now we'll see about about certain diseases and disorders of an individual because of their lifestyle modifications. So when we see lifestyle modifications, it could be an improper way of living, stress, strain, and non-communicable. So one such disease is the diabetes mellitus, which is because of or rather it is a metabolic pancreatic endocrine disorder where there is increased blood glucose level. Now, why is this increased blood glucose level? Because of the insufficient or the failure of the particular body to secrete insulin. Yes, so this diabetes, they are of two types. We call it as type 1 and type 2. In type 1, which is insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, you find this in children, that is the juvenile onset diabetes, and also in the young adults. Now this is because of a damage to the beta cells of the pancreas, and as a result of this there is an increase in the level of the blood glucose. We call that as hyperglycemia, and the increased glucose level is because of the insufficient secretions of insulin. And the cause for this could be either genetic or it could be an environmental factor. The other one, type 2, is a non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Now this is seen mostly in the adults, and here what happens, non-insulin dependent, the term itself says. So insulin production is normal, but the action of the insulin is improper. That is, what happens is the target cell which is supposed to respond to this insulin level does not respond properly, and because of which the glucose does not move into the cell. And the causes for this is increasing age, obesity, sedentary life, and overeating. The symptoms are increased blood glucose level known as hyperglycemia, increased urination known as polyuria, and because of this there could be dehydration, loss of water because of this dehydration, they have frequent thirst called as polydipsia. So then excessive glucose is excreted in urine called as glycosuria, and excess hunger, polyphagia, because of the loss of glucose and sugar. And as a result, they feel fatigue, that is very weak, and loss of weight. How can we prevent and control this? Dietary management. Yes, proper diet has to be taken. Foods which are rich in fibers can be taken, and carbohydrates, especially in the form of starch and complex sugars, can be taken. The refined sugars, like sucrose, glucose, they can be reduced. Then green leafy vegetables, unpolished rice, wheat, these could be included in their diet. Next is insulin management, that is giving them insulin, the commercially available insulin, so as to maintain the blood glucose level. Then physical activity includes varying exercises so that they will be able to control the level of the blood glucose. Then education and awareness. Again here, the people who are suffering from diabetes are to be given proper knowledge about the disease. Yes, what type of a disease is this, what is the nature of this disease, how one can control these diseases. So an awareness program and educating them of the causes and how they can overcome that. That will help the individual to overcome. Next is obesity. Obesity means what? Accumulation of excess fat in the body, leading to an abnormal increase in body weight. So how to know whether a person is obese? We have to calculate the body mass index, that is taken as weight in kg upon height. That will give the body mass index, and based on that one can calculate whether they are obese or not. Now the causes for this is normally overeating. In certain cases it is a genetic factor, then physical inactivity and endocrine factors. Now the risk of this obesity, obese people are more prone for hypertension, diabetes, gallbladder diseases, heart diseases, arthritis. And prevention is control is by diet management and physical activity. Next is the heart disease. So heart disease, we have cardiovascular disease. We abbreviate it as CVD, which is the disease of the heart and the blood vessels. Then you have the coronary heart disease, which is CHD, which is because of the deposition of the cholesterol in the blood vessels. So in this cardiovascular disease, you find the muscles of the heart is also, the cardiac muscles are weak, so they will not be proper pumping and all that. So in this coronary heart disease, there could be the deposition of cholesterol. That's why excessive fatty food without physical activity can lead to the deposition, and because of which there will be a block, and that will impair the free movement of the blood. Then these diseases, they slowly develop. It is not all of a sudden, it is over the years it develops. So fatty streaks will be slowly depositing, which we call as the plaque, and because of this plaque, what happens, there will be the narrowing of the blood vessels. We call that as atherosclerosis, and this can lead to ischemic or the myocardial infarction. The symptoms are shortness of breath, headache, tiredness, dizziness, chest pain, swelling in the leg, gastrointestinal problem. The risk factors are hypercholesterolemia, yes, and hypertension, then damage to the brain, kidney, and can lead to stroke. You get it? So cholesterol has to be controlled, stress has to be controlled, yes. So all this can affect that. The causes for this could be hereditary, diet which is rich in saturated fat and cholesterol, obesity, age, smoking, stress, sedentary lifestyle, alcohol consumption. All these are some of the causes. And the prevention and control is mainly diet management, where the person can take low calorie intake, low saturated fat, less cholesterol food, less salt, and dietary modifications like using PUFA rich food, fiber diets, green leafy vegetable food, fruits, vitamins, all these can be included. Physical activity is a must, and avoiding addiction to smoking and alcohol. Next is cancer. Now, the study of cancer is known as oncology. Now, what is cancer? It is the abnormal and uncontrolled division of the cells, as a result of which the neighboring cells are also damaged, forming a tumor, or also known as neoplasm. Now, this could be metastatic. Metastatic means it starts in one area and from there it can spread to other areas like lung, bone, liver, skin, brain, etc. The types of cancers could be carcinoma, when it is derived from the epithelial cells and tissues like the skin, lung, stomach, brain, all that carcinoma. Sarcomas, when it is the connective and the muscular tissue, especially with the bones, cartilage, tendons, etc. Or it could be leukemia, when it is the blood cells where you have increased WBC content. Yes. Now, the agents that can cause cancer, we call them as carcinogen, and these carcinogen could be classified as physical carcinogen, chemical, ionizing radiations, and biological agents. Now, treatment for cancer is surgery. So, let me just tell you here: physical, chemical, ionizing, biological agents. That is, biological agents, mainly people who suffer from frequent viral infections are prone for these cancers. Then radiations, people who are subjected to ultraviolet radiations or other heavy radiations, or people who undergo these frequent scans and all that for varying other reasons, are prone for the cancers. Then chemical agents, because like nicotine, caffeine, or the working environment, if they are people who work in cement factories or in factories which involve lead or any heavy metal, they are prone for these cancers. And physical means it is mainly smoking. Yes, smoking is one cause which can lead to this, or people who go into chew this betel nuts and the betel leaves, yes, they are more prone for that. Okay, how can we treat cancer? Surgery, then radiation therapy, where a lethal dose of the radiations onto the tumor cells are given so that the adjacent cells are protected, or chemotherapy, where they use the anti-cancerous drug, or it could be immunotherapy by giving interferons which can activate the immune system. Of course, all these have their own disadvantages also. Now, preventive measures is primary prevention and early detection can help the individual. Smoking is to be avoided, especially in the case of lung cancer. Then if it is because of the heavy radiations, then the person has to be protected from excessive exposure to radiations. Example, the skin cancer. Finally, we have AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This is a viral disease which is caused by the HIV, or the human immunodeficiency virus. In this, what happens? The individual, the immune system completely fails and suppresses the body's resistance mechanism. And the virus directly attacks those cells which gives us the immunity, that is the lymphocytes. And transmission of these viruses are either via the urine, tears, saliva, breast milk, vaginal secretion. So any sort of a fluid, it can get transmitted. So it could be either by sexual contact or with an affected person, or using the objects which have been used by the patient who is suffering. Yes. Then by transfusion of contaminated or infected blood or the blood products, then from an infected mother to the child through the placenta. And the symptoms includes they are more immunodeficient, that is they fall sick quite often, the immunity is totally lost. Then swelling of the lymph node, damage to the brain, loss of memory, lack of appetite and weight loss. What are the ways by which we can identify? The diagnosis could be by two methods, that is the Western blot and the ELISA. Are the two methods which are available to detect this HIV, the presence of HIV. So this is based on the antibodies and the antigen. The treatment is by taking the antiretroviral drug or the immunostimulative therapy. So we have to trigger the immune system of the person. Then prevention and control is screening of the blood from blood banks for HIV before transfusion, ensuring the use of disposable needles and syringes, especially in hospitals and clinics. Then advocating safe sex, awareness campaign and educating the people, avoid isolation of the affected person from the family and the society. So with that we finish this chapter.